Also, you notice that like the walls you made for the invisible walls, they're kind of like
off.
No, it's not that they're off. It's that it's either that they're too big or that it's hard to tell where they are. Like I feel like someone might try to back up and go, "Why aren't I backing up right now?" when they really need to.
I wasn't 100% perfect with them, and that's kind of on purpose because they're based upon integers. Okay. If you are this x, then you are this x. But depending on how fast you go, you can either like you can either have extra space or more with it, or you go into it a little bit. So I didn't want to make it perfect it too much because you're gonna be in charge of how fast a player moves, and how fast a player moves is going to affect where they hit that invisible wall.
Oh wait, I feel like I asked you this earlier, but I forgot
That's
what
okay.
you said. Can we make the space bigger?
The space?
Like the whole arena, the whole area.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, good, because like what I'm thinking of, like if the boss is above you at the very end of the game, like you want a lot of room to move. Also, I feel like the boss's moves would be like Undertale, where it's just coming in every direction, sort of like that, and you have to dodge it. Because I feel like Undertale is like a good resource for like cool enemies to have in this type of space.
And that Undertale is a good example of what we're going to talk about of subverting expectations of core gameplays, because Undertale is an RPG ostensibly, but it adds shmup mechanics of dodging the attacks and whatnot inside a small arena. What we can easily do to make the arena bigger is just make the player smaller. Just like have them whip around a lot faster in that area. And if you want to also make the arena bigger, like let's just say when you're fighting enemies, it's fixed. But if it's in the boss, the map moves with you, like so it can appear bigger. Anyways, well, on tangent of that, for those who are watching, we're gonna go ahead and start the meeting today. So we're gonna go over the club updates. We're gonna do a quick workshop and a quick presentation because unfortunately I didn't bring my battery to my computer, so we only got an hour and 17 minutes on this. So I'll try to make this a little quicker. So for the club updates, we got on the 13th we got a collaboration effort with the board game club. That's actually how Sunflower got in here because they brought him to us. But we're most likely going to do a quick construction of a prototype either of a board game for them to test and play. That was my thought. If anybody has any ideas of what we can do beyond that, it could either be like a board game or a homebrew D&D game.
I kind of have an idea.
What's up?
Is chess hard to program? Like something like chess?
Oh, we're not programming anything.
Oh, okay.
It's like we're going to be just doing nothing but designing it.
Oh, okay.
We don't want to get too much into, because like I like to think I'm really good at programming, but 2 hours, no, that's not enough time unless you have really already pre-made stuff.
Yeah, I think I could design the sign for the club.
Yeah, we're gonna all have fun trying to design it together.
Okay, good.
Right, cool. So I'll go first. We'll go first with our first workshop, and it's all about that core gameplay. I've talked to us about this before. I didn't record it last time, so I will have it recorded here. And some people already know this, but I'll go over it again. So the main component with making for game design is constructing a core. So a core is consisting of the very, very basics of what makes a game, and and it's all based around your goals. What's your main goals? So our first goal is what you do to win the game, and we'll go with Super Mario Brothers. I'll put it here. Apologies again, repeated information, but still want to get through this to go further with the workshop. So first goal is first thing is like how to win, and in Super Mario Brothers is get to the end. So the second goal is the second thing is how to get to in this case how to get to the end. And in this case, we got jump, we got run. And that's pretty much it. You don't need anything else with that. And the third one is, what is stopping you? And in Mario Brothers, you got enemies and pitfalls. And that's basically it when it comes to the core. It goes a little further out than that, but you're basically going further from these, such as what constitutes at the end. In Mario Bros, it's all the way to the right, the flagpole. We got jumping. We'll go further with that, like how high you jump, how far you can jump, how fast you can run, and then what kind of enemies, and like how big are these pitfalls. That's the basic gist of it. But for this workshop, I want to start expanding cores of different genres, because we all like to think that all genres are pretty much concrete and very basic in their cores. Like for instance, platforming, like we just did with this. But what if instead of the goals right there, the specific goal, what if we took one away? How would you construct a game to do that? Like for instance, what if you couldn't jump? Could you make a platformer at all without jumping? Do you think it's possible?
Yeah.
All right. How would you construct that? Like for instance, an idea I came up with while thinking about this was, think of the goals. You're trying to get to the end, right? So instead, in platforming, what is jumping used for? To get to like one place to another, right? What if instead you start out like right here as character, and instead of using character to get to a platformer that's up here through the mechanics of jumping, what if instead the mechanics is nothing but falling? So you never use the jump button, but you always fall and use your precision of moving back and forth to get to a spot instead. So then you can expand further on that. Like, if all you got is just running, what can you use in the level design to use to further incorporate that goal of just nothing but running back and forth? Well, what if there's a platformer that moves left and right? So you can use the mechanics of falling through your moving left and right to go further with this. Another example we can use is something along the lines of, how about a fan that makes it so you go on here, it moves you that way. So then you have a moving platformer that's like back and forth right here, and you use the motion of the fan to go further with that. A reason why I'm wanting to go further with this is because in this game design club, it's good to to expand with it, to practice, to try and come up with wacky ideas and wacky things. Like for instance, another example I came up with is like on Portal, we got the first-person shooter, and the main goals of that is of course get to end. And how do you get to the end? Well, you also shoot and run, and the enemies in this case is shooting you. But what if instead of like shooting, in this case if you're shooting enemies, because you get trapped in rooms and whatnot, what if instead you shot allies? You are a healer now, and your goal is to shoot the enemies that are shooting the allies that are shooting the enemies. They're not shooting you, they're shooting allies. And you can start going bananas with this. It starts like subverting itself from what you can expect from this. So, in this workshop, what I would like you to do is, I'll go ahead and write the goals again. How to win. What is winning? How to win, and then what's stopping you? I would like for people to come up with a genre, like a insert a genre, a platformer, in this case we can do a shmup, a FPS, just any one of those usual genres, and try to first list what the usual goal is, like for a platformer. Run jump is how you win, get to the end is what is winning, and enemies and pitfalls are you stopping. Try to take something away from it, and then start expanding from that, like we did in that last platform example. So I'll get my little notebook out. Everyone can even do it on a piece. Everyone can do it on a piece. Write it out as well. And then what we can do from that is try to come here and present what their image of it is. So we'll do that until 11:30. I will try to find my pen in order to participate. Where did I put it? Aha. Whew, I am going to tackle an RPG because those are always my favorite. And you could actually go further with this. Try to come up with like a scenario of what would this look like. If anyone wants an example of something I came up with right away, I decided to do an RPG, of course, JRPG to be precise. And so the usual thing with JRPG is what is winning? Kill enemies. And killing enemies is HP less than 0. And then how to win is just like attack. And we go further with that, what attacking is. And then what's stopping you is enemy attacks. But instead, I decided, what if the goal instead is to save them? And how do you prevent them? How do you save them? Is heal to 200% of their HP. And what's stopping you? Well, enemy attacks self. And so this would look something like an enemy mob. And you are all four right here. And instead, you are using tactics which you would usually use on yourself, you use on them. And then they try to either attack themselves or attack other allies around them. And so you could start flipping that on its head to where most of the time using very typical tactics of like raising your resistance, your damage resistance, your magical resistance, and healing yourself. But instead, doing it on, primarily focusing on that, expanding that to use it on them. and then they would do things that would like bring down the resistance of different attacks. So say this is a fire guy, this is a water guy, and this guy brings down the resistance of water on them so they can attack. They can attack them. It can really get further with this because most of the time, cores of RPGs, just like very typically, I've said it in one of my videos a few weeks ago, how it doesn't expand further than just heal yourself, hit them harder than they hit you, and done. But instead, it's focusing primarily on getting them to make sure they don't hit themselves as hard, and that could further expand like what that means. So that was my idea. If anyone else needs more time before presenting theirs, that's fine. Is everyone ready, or do you think? No? Okay. Okay. No more time, that's fine. I want to expand this idea a little more. Alright, we got 2 minutes. Don't worry too much about if you don't got a lot. This is just very prototype stuff, so anything is better than nothing. Alright, so I'm going to go over a little bit of what I got so people can get an idea of what they got. So I'm going to showcase on here what I got for people in here and I'll write out over there. So what I did instead is, of course, I decided to make it to where you're trying to defend your allies, no, defend the enemies. But I wanted to ask myself the question of like, what can the story itself give me to help aid in this? So again, you got the 4 allies and you got the 3 enemies. So I thought to myself, first off, nobody in RPGs, oh wow, lots of rain. But nobody uses the arena itself to further affect the ally. And so I thought of an arena setup to where use something such as like 0 gravity, where everyone floats. And if that's the case, no physical attacks. So let's just say you have enemies that are just like physical enemies. You can use that spell to lift them all up so that all the magic people can heal them all instead. Same. And then I thought, okay, there has to be a magic one too. So Seal Arena. Like no magic. And then I thought, okay, we had to do a little more than that because then there's no then it's just 2 single utility things that become like flip a coin thing. So I thought of a magnet arena. So anyone wearing metal can just like be brought down, and then you can further expand this further along with every single other type of like equipment or things like that. Another thing I thought of, like I was first started about with the story, what if the whole story is wrapped around like hope, despair, to where you have to focus on each enemy. Like let's just say this is like of course I'm getting it from the game Danganronpa, but this is a school setup to where you know each one of these characters you're encountering, and you have like hope attacks to where that affects, you can use that specifically. Let's just say one of the characters is into like, I don't know, sports or something, and you give him like an achievement attack to get them to stop them from attacking themselves a little more. And then you have despair defense for yourself. Let's say they use use a attack that affects your characters to bring their despair down so they can't attack you as much. So I can go expand further from that, but that's basically what I came up with in this little time. Does anybody else want to present first what they got? Come on up. I'll erase this so you can just input what you got. Woo. All right.
So, what I thought could work was, have you guys played VR games?
Yes.
Have you played Half-Life Alyx?
I haven't yet, so that's good.
Have you played Boneworks?
Nope. I haven't played many VR games.
Have you played any ones where you shoot people?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, in pretty much every VR game that has guns in it, you're trying to get headshots, you're trying to kill the enemy, and that's pretty hard because you're really aiming in real life.
Yes.
So, here we have an enemy with arms and legs, another arm. You're always trying to hit here. But what if the enemies were normal people being mind controlled and you didn't want to kill them?
Ooh.
So now you gotta hit them here.
Oh, you gotta
hit them here. Maybe hit them here, get them staggered, get them knocked down, and try to run past them. You don't want to kill them.
Wow.
And also these guys, these mind control enemies, they're kind of stupid. They might be like, there might be one sitting right here, and he's just standing, but there's a big boulder above his head, and you don't want the civilian to die, so you gotta somehow distract him and get him, somewhere else.
Oh.
Because you don't want him to die.
Okay.
So, what is winning? Winning is getting to the end of the stage. So
getting the same.
get to end.
Okay.
Same thing. How to win is no killing.
Okay.
And what's stopping you? Enemies killing you.
Okay. So that's the same. So you're going with the same, similar goals, but but you're having different, you're tackling different. You're tackling it differently, basically.
Because you don't want to shoot them in any
Yeah,
lethal areas.
Yeah. Okay. You're changing how to win. Gotcha. Okay.
So,
Cool.
yeah, that's win.
Good. Good. I like that. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Yep.
So I did a pretty dumb example.
Oh, no.
No, I meant like the genre. I did a match 3.
Okay.
Like Candy Crush,
Okay.
So, you have all the things here, except, so when you win, you usually get to a score or something, and then how to win, you match. And then what's stopping you is the
The
blocks in the way,
Yeah,
things
yeah.
in the way. But I changed this part to be something really interesting. So you have to, it's like a Tetris game. So then when you match, like 3 right here, they go down, like it goes down lower, and then it's like on a Tetris field here. So when you match these, they move down. They go down here.
Oh, so like they're separated all into blocks.
Yeah.
They're it's like merging Tetris.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's really good. Oh, that's some subversion. I like that. That's just blending two of them one together. This reminds me, there is I think I've talked about this before, but I do want to do a puzzle-esque game that's very similar to matching, but with an added goal of instead of just instead of just score, you also have to the score can go down by matching. Just call them no blocks. to where you have this set up to where they're all just like da 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 and so on, and you're trying to match the good ones together, but out of nowhere, some of these can change to bad ones that you don't want them to match. So you have to like constantly try to match these ones while pulling them away so they don't match into bad ones, which would affect the score right here that you're trying to change. But I do like I really like that matching of the, like blending of the two of them. All right, that was really good. I really like that. Really like that. Keep that energy for you can even do it with this game as well, but keep that energy for the next game as well so we can come up with way different ideas, or just like change a little bit and expand something so much further than what it could be. So good work, everybody. So now we're going to head into the Unity specific programming. I'm going to try to get into I should have opened Unity. Apologies for that, but I will get it open. I'm going to try to get into instead of just like basic programming, I can get into what specific kind of programming that Unity does that we can, there we go. I lost my train of thought, but that's fine. So I've talked about this before of like very specific, laptop, there we go, of some specific variables that I talked about, like game objects and whatnot, that are inside of Unity itself. I'm going to explain them, and I'm going to explain like the layout of Unity so that we can kind of see, we can kind of like match both of the information that I can give. So I guess I'll go ahead and start. Should we just wait? It's going to be a bit. So I'll explain it just like right here. So Unity has its own little thing where it has its layout and whatnot. And you make these things called prefabs, to where prefabs are objects that you store inside of a folder that has already included information, that when you add it onto the stage, you're adding that information. You're just like dragging the information on here. They're called game objects because like game object itself stores information such as its transform properties, like its x, y values based upon where it is, like on the screen, what its orientation is, degrees on the x, y, z axis, and its scaling, like how big it is compared to the original. Aha, good. We have that up. Now I don't have to draw it out. All right, so show you an example of a prefab and one from this game. So inside Unity itself, when you make a prefab, it has these stored values. So you transform where it is on the screen. It's what in this case is sprite renderer, like what our assets has, etc., etc., etc. So and a script file in its box cloud, blah blah blah. But what's useful about this is that I'll bring up the coding right here. Is that when you call a game object, you're getting, like for instance, when you call something's game object, you are getting all of that possible information. So when if I want to ask it's like the game object's information, like it's a position, it's like, oh, where is it on the screen? Since you now have its information, it's game object information, you have the transform properties. This is a little disjunctive, so I'll try to back up a bit and get more into examples. So, all right. Okay. All right. So we're just going to talk specifically about game objects in this case. So, when making a game object variable inside of Unity, first we put it where the variables are. So when you make a public one, what happens is that inside of the Unity interface, wherever the script is attached, let's just say the main character script, the main character game object inside the hierarchy in here, we'll look down in the script, and as you can see, it has an open object right here. That is where you restore the game object. Now, of course, you have to make the game object first, and you can kind of just like literally make any kind of object and just like slap it in there. So I'll make a square, and then inside here I could just like slap that in there, and technically that works. But what happens is once that square disappears, that no longer has any data in there because it's referencing what's on the stage right now. And as long as it's on the stage, it can reference this. But we don't want it to reference something that can disappear at any time. So we have to make what's called a prefab. And all you need to do is make a prefab is you take this, you drag it to the prefab folder. It's like you make a prefab folder, drag it itself, and it makes, oh, did I put it somewhere wrong? Oh, come on. I'll do it again. Where did it go? Let's do it again. There we go. And then we can now delete it. And so if we want to put it in there, we can now just do that. Oh, I don't know if you caught that, but it said now it was a missing object before I put it in there. That's because it's gone. And that's why we don't want to do that, because once it disappears from the stage, it no longer has data. Now that it's a prefab, that means it's a stored object that is inside of this folder right here that it can just like drag it and put it out into the stage. So as long as that object is now inside of our storage, it will be there to be used as a reference. Of course, for this game, we're not using the square. We are using the bullet. So, how is this useful? What is it? What is the point of having a variable that has a game object in it? As I explained, it's to make like a. Oh no, I don't think I explained that. It's so that we can make copies of the same exact thing with the same exact data. So, like for instance, the bullet has very specific data. I will bring up the script for it. Nope, not that. So the bullet script. Right now, it doesn't have much. We could put in there like it's how much damage it has, how much yes, how fast it moves and whatnot when it appears. Like it has all its stored script data, and inside of the game object itself, it has all the data of like what it looks like for instance the scale. Like I made it smaller because we don't want a square as big as the player itself. It's like that's the size of the board. That's too big. But as long as we change the prefab data, anything inside it, including its script, then whatever copy it's going to make is be based upon the prefab data, so that we can dynamically change a thing that's going to be copied multiple times, and it can be this. It can have this all have similar properties. So, in order to bring up this this game object, in order for us to want to make it appear, like down here, I have the script for it. We could do something called instantiate. Now, I don't know what instantiate means. I'm guessing it's to create or something, some kind of Greek word. No idea what the exact word means. But, as you can see, we are referencing the game object right there, the bullet. And that, of course, it creates the, it pulls the data it has in that public game object, which is a prefab. And inside that prefab, it has all the data that we declared it to have. And it just like creates it. And that way, because it's a prefab, we don't have to deal with referencing an object that could disappear and destroy that, and destroy what's inside of that reference object. So that's specifically for the public game objects. Another variable that you could tackle with Unity specifically is what's called a vector. Vectors are, in this case, it's vector 3. Vectors are its declaration of what's the word? Orientation. So like, for instance, like a vector equals x, y, like in this case, x, y is x, y, and z. Like these properties, it's orientation properties. And so when you're making a vector, you are declaring of what the and it's not just x, y, and z of its position. It's also x, y, and z of like position. It could be x, y, and z of like its rotation. X, y, z of its scale. It's basically the anything to do with like access of some kind. So when making a vector 3 variable, we are storing those transform properties. We'll say it's that because Unity deals with transform. So in this case, this code, I decided to store the players because like when you fire a bullet, it creates the bullet, but where do you put the bullet? Well, you store where the player is. And in this case, it's when I say this, oh, that's another thing I needed. Okay. It stores where the player is. And so it stores its x, y, and z values. And it creates the bullet. And the bullet is like, all right, I created a bullet, where do I go? And I say, oh, I go where these x, y, where this vector 3's x, y, and z is. And so that way, so like it appears based upon this one. Now, to clarify what this means, because like that's also general programming, this references to everything that the script is attached to. So it's referencing itself. So when you say this.gameObject, what does encode is that it says like this, like oh this, and inside Unity it will look at itself, like right here you have the bullet script. Say oh okay, this means I have a box slider, I have a sprite renderer, I have a transform. So now when you say this.gameObject, it's referencing like it now knows what that means. This can also reference everything inside the script as well. That's why whenever I say there's some scripts that there's some parts to where I say no, I don't have it in here. Wait.
Spencer?
Yes. What's up?
How do you get from like the build to the code?
Oh, that's easy. All you have to do is inside of Unity itself, there's a folder that says scripts, and you just double-click the script, and it should pop up the whatever script editing program you're using, and it probably in that case is Visual Studios.
Right.
Okay. Oh, there we go. So I say this.speed, and so the game itself, the code itself, is saying, okay, I'm referencing myself and referencing a variable called speed, and luckily I have that. What's useful about this? Saying this is that if you just say speed, which you'll totally be fine with, it's just like the idea of using public variables to where you could make the mistake of actually I won't use public. I'll use temporary variables. Did I talk about temporary variables last time, or did I forget to do that?
Yeah, I think you forgot to do that.
Okay, good. Then that's fine. I'll make it. So right here, I made a float called negative speed. And it's to just make sure that when you press down, you're going the negative direction of what speed is. And so I made it so you make a temporary variable, negative speed, times it by -1. And then instead of making it go the speed, which is the positive direction, it makes it go to the negative direction instead. Why I made a temporary variable instead is just for, as I said, for compartmentalization. is to squeeze it down, because I could make another variable up there, protected float, negative speed, and just make it negative 0.2, which would still work, and I could take out these two lines and make it so it's just one line, and that one says just negative, this dot negative speed instead. But what happens is you have to start doing some math in your head. Like, okay, every time it uses this code, it's going to go an extra line for negative speed now, because it's up there and it's permanently adding a line. It's not going to go in here every single time and use up two lines. So even though technically you're saving a line by only adding one, by taking away two and adding one, it has to go through that every single time. And so even if you're not, even though you're saving two lines, you're not using these lines all the time. So a temporary variable is good to just make. Now if I did that in the update, nah, that'd be stupid. Like if I made a negative speed up here, that'd be stupid, because then it would now be doing two lines instead of one line, and that two line would be used every single time. So it's good to use temporary variables to declare something that's not always going to happen. Like to make a variable of something that's not going to be forever used. Because if you're going to use it for a lot more things, you do want to make a local one. I call it local for now. I think there's another word for it. All right, so there's that. How much time do we got? We got 33 minutes on this thing. Should I talk about inputs? That's not. Actually, no. I'll talk about this. So we'll get a little more into what you can declare with the game object variables. So right now, the only thing I have in this code is finding its name. So inside of Unity itself, you have the name of this. Oh, you have to go? Okay, no problem. It'll be recorded, so you can see the rest of it when tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll watch.
Mm-hmm. So inside of Unity itself, it also has a variable, a string.
I'll be at the tabletop games thing at 2:30.
Very cool. See ya.
Bye.
Mm-hmm. Bye. So inside of Unity itself, it has a string variable. Hope people remember what strings are. They're just text with characters. So it has a string variable that is its name. It's called So when you instantiate something, Unity has a fun thing where it adds clone at the end of it. I will show you an example where you can see it happening. Actually, no, I didn't. You can't, because I decided to change it. So it makes clone, and that becomes stupid. I hate that, because when you're trying to find an object, like a way to locate a specific object on the screen is the game object.find. It looks on the stage of the exact name you put into here, but when you're instantiating something, you have to remember, oh right, I instantiated it. I have to put clone at the end, because it puts clone at the end of every single instantiated prefab. So I decided to go into its name and change it myself. So now that doesn't say bullet clone anymore. It says main bullet. Why did I do that? Because when a bullet hits something, in this case we'll go with enemy, the enemy is, now I can just say if it's a main bullet instead. What that will do is I don't have to put bullet clone on there. And two, now that I changed the name, I can differentiate each bullet that fires by literally changing its name. The enemy bullets also are going to have a function to where once they appear, I change the name directly to enemy bullet. Because, of course, if you have two bullets flying, you want them to be different just on names, so that if you, as a character, hit a bullet game object, the the game object says, hey, what kind of bullet is this? And its name says, oh, it's a player bullet. That means you're not going to die by smacking into it. And same thing with the opposite direction. I think I talked about the transform variables. Yep, I think I did. Another thing you can do is, I don't have it on this game, I have it on the other game I made, but a fun thing you could do with Unity specific coding is adding properties onto it. And when I mean properties, I mean like adding a script or adding a collider. Because most prefabs, you have to kind of just make things appear. Like you have to already pre-establish what's on it. And a nice thing you can do is you can add let me see if I can bring it up. That would be fun if I could show. So on a game I'm making right now, I wanted to make it so you have a character right here, and they shoot a object out that lands right here. And what that object is supposed to do is that now you can walk on it once it's done doing its animation, like it makes like a lily pad thing, and you can now walk on it over like a pitfall. Of course, I don't want it to where before it's done with its animation, be able to walk on it. So at a certain point, once it's done with its animation specific, then it adds the collider on there. That's only after. And so we can look at that in here and see what it looks like. So just adding a component. And you can literally do that with like any other kind of component. In this case, I did it with a box collider, 2D, because it's a 2D game. You can do it with a rigid body, and what rigid bodies do is to make it as far as I understand, you can have two box colliders, but they're not going to really do anything until both of them have a rigid body, which is like physics, until when it hits it, it finally does something based upon either its static preference or whatever you change it to. I wish I had more time. I would go over animations and how to put animations into here. But Unity has a built-in animation where you would, I can't put it. Basically, it would add the states of animation right here. You would make the states that says what it looks like when it's idle, what it looks like when it's walking left, walking right. Right. And then you would make the animation itself inside of here. And it has, like I said, it has its own built-in animation where you make what the exact animation looks like. A lot of programming does have that, but this is what Unity specific one looks like. Unfortunately, I would have to stop it here. Does anybody have any questions about the Unity and whatnot? What I got over so far?
Sort of, but it's only for what I'm doing.
Oh, that's fine. You can ask me.
In enemy scripts,
Mm-hmm.
the way to change how fast their bullets are. How do you do that?
Okay, that's fine. That's what I should have done. I should have made it a variable. So, not the enemy script though. So, as I talked on Unity, enemy bullet. Did I really make a script? Oh, I guess I was doing it fast. That's fine. So, oops, nope. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I did that. So, inside here, we have, I did do it. So, speed of bullet, right there. That's the variable that it moves. That's the variable of how fast it moves. I don't know what the numbers really mean. Because in my old programming language, it dealt with sprites and it dealt with pixels. And so 10 meant it goes 10 pixels that way per frame. But this, it has a different set of units. I don't know exactly what it means, but so you would just change that number right there, the speed, and that would change how fast the bullets move. Same thing with like the other variables. I did my best. I gotta make sure I change that. In this case, Euro bullets, that one would be it. I would change it to where it's a variable just like the other one, speed. So you could just change it right there. Main character, same thing. Speed variable, right there. That's how you change how fast they move.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Enemies, I didn't put a speed variable on there. That's my bad. So same thing with them. Change the enemy speed. It would just be like right here. All right. So I'm going to keep this recording going. We're all done with the presentation. We're all done with that, so we can work on just either the game or other things. I'm going to work on some music myself. But if you have any questions about how... Okay.
So like when our player character moves and shoots with the space bar,
Mm-hmm.
and like come over here.
Yep.
So is there like, it's like this, yeah,
Yep.
but we go like this.
Oh yeah, it's they all have it. That's a bit of a thing. So, what we can do we can definitely change that. That's no problem. That's because, like I said, the rigid body, the character has it. I think the bullets have the rigid body, so you don't. And when you collide with the bullets are the ones that change. But we can make the bullets faster than the player move, so that the bullets would never catch up to. You can't catch up to it. So that would just be something I'll have to change. One thing at a time. At least you guys heard it. Speaker. Oh, that's because my sound is off. Maybe. There we go. That's what I've been working on. I haven't really come up with anything beyond that. Not yet. But I do have one that I want to work on as much as possible. And everyone who watches all of this can hear it. Oof, not for long though. Got 13 minutes. Whew. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. I only need this one right here. And then below it would be a... Oops. No, I didn't want that. Oops. Oops. I gotta make sure that I don't kill it. Alright. Just for the sake of making sure the battery doesn't die and the recording is saved, I'm going to stop the recording right here, but I'm going to post what I did when the meeting is done. Right, so I hope people got some good out of this. I will, for everyone in the watching the recording, see you Saturday, 4 to 7.